Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Fireside 42 with your host, Rob Walden. Episode 2. We did a good job. Tony, we made it to episode 2.
We did it.
We did it.
And we got more, but,
We
one at a time.
One at a time. So this week, we're going to talk with Angel Gomez about your shop steward, your representation, your committeeman, and all that jazz.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great tool to have, and a lot of people are not going to realize what that really means for them yet. But I think once they listen to the episode, they'll get a much clearer idea what representation means, what it can do for them. It's just such a great tool to have, such a big demand that we got for the membership. That's going to be an amazing thing to move forward once we have a contract in place. I think a lot of people that have issues that need to be addressed are going to go get with their representation on the floor and are going to realize that this is probably one of the bigger demands that we have that may be more important than, some of the other things that we have. I'm not going to say it's more important than wages or anything like a job security or healthcare, but this is, key, and this is huge.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree, and I can't say anything better than that. So let's listen to the conversation. All right, so let's start out with what the hell is a steward? What is a shop steward? Tell me that.
A shop steward is basically your front line of defense of when you have issues with management or just issues in general. Like, that's the person you call. Let's say, for instance, that you're getting reprimanded for something, and the first instinct that's generally in the union shop is for a person to just basically tell your supervisor, I need to talk to my committee person, steward, whatever the case may be. And they come down there and they take care of whatever issues going on. It's kind of like, I like to think of it as like a public defender type deal. It's like you're your shop lawyer pretty much.
Now, I hear steward and committee person kind of used interchangeably. Are they the same thing, or is there a distinction between the two?
Yes, it's the same thing. The UAW generally, where I come from, I originally started at Ford. That's what it was always called. It was called a district committee person because it's your district, your area. It's called a district. Like, let's say you're in MEB, right, for instance, or whatever. That'll be a district, and that'll be where a committee person generally would be. So it's same thing. It's a steward because I was with the Teamsters, and it was a steward.
Okay. Is that how we're going to do it? Are we going to break ourselves up into districts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's going to be it's like 150 to 200 is generally the number that's considered for each 200 employees. You're covered by a committee person.
One steward, one committee person. Okay. How do we pick our stewards? How does that happen? What's going on there?
It's elected. It's an election. I mean, you run for an election, and it's a democratic process, and highest vote getter gets the steward generally for the area.
Now, is that going to be for the duration of the contract, or how long does the steward serve?
It's usually a term of 3 years. So every 3 years you would either run again, mm-hmm, or somebody else will be elected. If you run, it's the 3-year terms. That's how it's usually done.
Okay. What if your steward sucks? What happens then? How does that work?
There's processes in place where, let's say, a steward's not doing their job. They're not doing what they need to do. They're just out there basically bullshitting. I mean, there will be a process in place where a steward can get removed. And depending on what we do, it can either be the runner-up, the alternate who takes his spot, mm-hmm, who's generally the runner-up. Mm-hmm. It's not decided yet. Different places have different structures in place. But generally, that'll be the alternate steward who would take the place of the steward committee person that's not doing their job.
Step up in that role.
Yep.
Okay. And so how much does the company get to say about all this?
As far as elections go?
Yeah. I mean,
none.
None at all.
Our membership on the floor are the ones who elect the people that are put in place. Management does not have a say-so on who is elected. No.
That's a big difference between what we have now.
Yes.
So we can say then that stewards, their sole concern is membership. They're not like HR. HR is a paid advocate for the company. They care entirely for the benefit of the company. Mm-hmm. Steward doesn't have that same burden.
No.
They are for the membership.
That's it. Just for the membership, how day-to-day things go, everything that's going on the line. Pretty much a steward will be the person that a person calls for whatever they need, even if it's just to walk by and say, hey, how's it going? Make sure everybody's good. That's the purpose of a steward, yeah.
So, okay, so if a steward's on the floor, right, I assume that's kind of the goal. We want them on the floor to be visible.
Yes.
So they're kind of, would they be a first contact for just about anything related to work or work problems or work concerns? It might not even be a problem, right? It may just be like, hey, my wife got pregnant. I'm just wondering, can you point me in the direction of who I need to talk to make sure I got all my ducks in a row? Can a steward help with that kind of stuff? I mean, point you into other representatives and that kind of thing?
Should, yes. Okay. They should be able to. I mean, you still got management rights. You still got, work rules you got to go by. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know what to do, generally it's a contract that you have to follow, and then everything is pretty much in your contract on what you got to do. And then also you have, your company policies and stuff that you should know. I mean, not everybody reads it. We know that. But your steward should know, what's the deal? Because this is the stuff they got to defend.
Right.
So generally speaking, yes, you should be able to ask and be like, hey, look, blah, blah, blah. And you should be pointed in the right direction. You are correct.
What is a grievance? How does that work?
A grievance is basically a complaint that you have on how a supervisor, manager, foreman, whatever the case may be, has down against you. Like, let's say you get written up for something and for sure that you didn't do it, or let's say they violate anything in the contract, anything that's in your contract, work rules, anything that pertains to that. You generally, what we try to do as a steward, because I've been there. So generally what you try to do, and this applies to all grievance procedures, you try to resolve matters at the lowest level possible. It can just be with a conversation. Hey, look, what time, because if you're getting an A rank or you're getting whatever violation, there should be a time, when, where, who, what is there, correct? That's how processes generally work. So if you know for a fact that you didn't do it and that wasn't you can prove it, they still want to keep escalating the situation after you call your steward down and your steward has a conversation with your supervisor, then yes, you can grieve it. And the process works. There's going to be 4 steps to the grievance procedure. The first step, obviously, is dealing with a supervisor and their AM. If you can't resolve it with the supervisor, you deal it with the area manager, and then it escalates. If you can't resolve it there, it escalates to the second step, which would be, involving the bargaining committee and so forth. Third step is, a little bit higher than that. That's when the regional rep, servicing rep comes down. Mm-hmm. And then 4th step is our arbitration. But generally speaking, yes, you do try to solve things as low as possible, and that could be as simple as a conversation. And as a steward, you should do your due diligence, do your paperwork, document everything, to make sure that everything is correct. And that way you can present it to the company and they don't have, there can't be no discrepancies towards it because, hey, look, you got all your ducks in a row and they can't deny the fact. So your supervisor, they got to be able to prove anything from a drug test to running somebody over on the line, let's say. That's not going to happen, but they got to be able to prove everything.
So is it all too often happens now, right? The supervisor's got a problem with something one of their guys did or something one of their guys said or how their guys said it. He might make a claim, write a guy up, call HR, tell HR. HR calls you up, gives you a point, walks you out the door, whatever it is that they do, and then tell you that they did an investigation. When point of fact is all they did was talk to the supervisor and then take their word for it. So are you telling me, based on this, that stewards are going to be empowered to do an actual investigation, talk to all parties concerned, and figure out exactly what happened?
Yeah. And the policies that we're going to is actual black and white. Mm-hmm. There's no gray area for anything. And anything you're talking about, a conversation or something was said or something was done, there's levels and steps to it. So they can't just automatically skip from you're having a conversation, you said something wrong, whatever the case may be, from the first level, which is a coach, which consists of 3 coachings, mm-hmm. all the way down to suspension and termination. You can't jump that fact. Mm-hmm. You can't. So they can't just point you automatically or walk you out the door or do anything like that. So no, you actually got a policy right now that's going to be in black and white. not no bullshit that they could just interpret how they want to.
Well, that's beautiful.
It is. I love it.
So when, as a team member, because I'm a team member, when do I get access to a steward? I mean, is there something certain have to happen before I get access to a steward? I mean, if it's, let's say I'm 5 minutes late for work, boss calls me in the office, says, hey man, you're 5 minutes, I got to appoint you. We're not going to worry about a steward. It's black and white. It's in the contract. I'm going to appoint you. Do better next time. And I say, I would like to talk to a steward. He's like, no, you don't need one. Is that how it's going to work? Or, I mean, what I'm asking is, do I get a steward anytime I want one?
Yeah, pretty much. If the steward is doing their job correctly, yes.
And that's our wine garden rights.
It's your wine garden. Not only is it just your wine garden rights, but again, to reiterate the fact that we have things in place now, that you're going to have an attendance policy as well that scripts things out from level 1 all the way down to whatever level we have at the end of it. So it's not just you get one late. Like let's say it's just your one late. Guess what? That one late that you have, it's going to be your freebie. So it ain't going to be anything that they can actually do. Or you're late. They document it. That's it. That's all you're going to get. You won't even get called in for that. Now, if you're late every day, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Because rules are rules. You know what I mean? So you can't, if you call your steward if you're late every day, then, I mean, they can try to do something for you, but it's not generally going to go anywhere. Just the simple fact of that you're constantly, violating the attendance policy. It's like, that's on you pretty much at this point. You know what I mean? But for the case you're making, you'll be fine. And they won't be able to just jump right into points for you.
I would say that the rules are more important for us to follow now because we've had a hand in crafting them, right? We're bargaining this stuff, right? Yes. So we have just as much of an ethical obligation to adhere to our contract that we're going to ratify, whatever that ends up being, as the company. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
So then a steward is not your get-out-of-jail-free card.
No. Your steward is there for real issues that are happening that right now that you have no say-so in, that you got to take it. And I'm not saying tuck your tail, but the way HR tries to treat you is you're the one you're wrong. You're constantly wrong. Now you're going to actually have a liaison for you to actually be right. You know what I mean? You're not wrong 100% of the time. A lot of people don't like going to HR, and I understand why. You don't have to anymore. You know what I mean? You have people in place that not only can take care of that for you, but they're there to enforce the contract, understand the rules, understand everything that's in that contract for your life to be easier as a team member on the floor. Do I recommend team members learn the contract? 100%. The more we know, the better we are, the stronger we will be. Right. You know what I mean? But we all know that that's not the case. So that's what these people are in place for, that you elect to, do their jobs and make life pretty much easier for you, where in a perfect world, we come to work, we go home every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so let me throw this example at you. I mean, because there's different types of grievances, right? It's not all about people getting in trouble. That's an easy one. But I mean, let me give you an example. You have a line. It's intended to be run by 3 people, right? That's in the standard work. 3 people, right? Somebody doesn't come to work, or oftentimes people get shipped off to other parts of the factory, right? And now you've got 2 guys running a line. Technically speaking, that violates standard work. Is that grievable? If we see the company not adhering to their own standard work, is that something we can call a steward? And the steward maybe call other representatives to come figure this out?
Yeah. Right now, with our representation we have in place, we're actually going to have production standards reps. So production standards reps are going to be able to take care of situations like this, because if it's in their standard of work, right? You got 3 people and then you're trying to get skipped with 2. Not only is this now a union shop, but it is union rules as well. And you can't have salary people doing these jobs, and you damn sure can't put a higher workload on 2 individuals and expect everything to be okay. Especially if you're running at the same line speed. That's, to me, and I've done this in different places where they tried to get away with this, is that, I would shut the line down. I'd just, boom, pull the end on, pull whatever mechanism you have in place. I've actually hit E-stops. So, and E-stops can screw everything up.
Right.
So with that being said, they are supposed to follow their guidelines where you have a 3-person job and you're trying to get away with it too. Not only can you call health and safety, because that can be a big problem. I mean, it could be violating OSHA standards as well. So you would have layers into it because you would have health and safety involved. You'd have, health and safety ergo, and also production standards rep. And then, worst comes to worst, there's also continuous improvement reps that will probably get involved in this as well, because this is a problem where it could also lead to quality. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of layers into this, where it's just not the company saying, look, this is how it's going to be done, blah, 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 whatever happens, and they try to wash their hands of it. No, it's a lot deeper than that now.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So let's say contract gets ratified, and I take it upon myself to learn that contract inside and out. And my boss does something or has me do something that I don't agree with, that I think is a violation of the contract. And I feel like I know better. Should I argue with him? Is there ever a point where a team member should get in an argument, no matter how well they know the contract, with their supervisor? Or should they call a steward? I mean,
I wouldn't argue. I just point this out. And if he doesn't get it, then I call my steward. You know what I mean? Just letting him know that I have the knowledge, that I've took time to know what processes are and what rules are in place. Maybe he might think twice about doing that in the future. But if he wants to be, hard-headed or whatever, okay, well then, I'm calling my steward.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is I mean, we have a lot of stubborn, proud people in our shop. I mean, we should be, right? I mean, we're hard workers.
Should be, yes, 100%.
But now we have representation, or we will have representation. I think we should probably let them do their job. We should not advocate for ourselves any more than we have to, right? Because that's a steward's job. Mm-hmm. That way we avoid unnecessary trouble. Would you agree with that?
It depends. Like if you got a supervisor who's reasonable, who's a person who understands, then, you might not need a steward. You can just let them know, hey, look, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you got somebody who just likes to be in your face and just wants to make a problem, I wouldn't even deal with it. To your point, it could turn around and put you in hot water, and then next thing you know, they're trying to write you up for insubordination or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it depends on the person and the situation.
Can you write a grievance for anything?
As long as it's in the contract, yeah.
But if you look at me cross, and I don't like the color of your shoelaces, Am I allowed to be like, listen, Angel's a real asshole?
No. I mean, it's human nature to just, right away just be like, hey, look, you're an asshole, or I don't agree with this and that. But no, I mean, you got your grievances, and it's going to say it in your language, and any grievance procedure, any policy, anything, it has to have merit. So in order to write a grievance, in order for it to go anywhere, it has to be a meritorious grievance. So it can't be just for any old reason, just because you looked at me sideways, or any other, you snickered at me. No, anything like that. No.
I've heard people say, I hope if I was a steward, I'm going to let my guys off the hook as much as possible. I'm always going to hold the company accountable. I work for our guys. I'm going to let the guys off the hook, even if they violate the contract. So I guess my question is it in our best interest to think that way? Or to me, it seems like, again, I go back to, this is our contract. We negotiated it. This isn't being shoved down our throat. We have a responsibility to defend the contract even against our own actions. How do you feel about that?
I'll just tell you how I did things. So when I was a steward, if I seen people doing dumb shit, I'd let them know. Like, hey, look, Blase Skippy, this is going on. Yeah, I mean, just tone it down a bit. You know what I mean? It's like, don't belittle somebody. Talk to them like, on a human level. I say that a lot because you gotta, even if you don't agree with somebody, you treat them like a human being regardless. You're respectful, but at the same time, you gotta know when to assert yourself. Mm-hmm. So you can't have people being put in positions where they can screw themselves. Now, if you can give them a coachable moment, as a steward, as a union member, as just a coworker, and just let them know that, if you keep doing this, there's going to be a situation where you're going to get yourself in, problems that you don't want. Then, yeah, I mean, you can't just let people run amok.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to make money. We're here to get these cars out the door, and we're here to keep these doors open. So we got to protect our best interests as well. You don't scold them. Don't talk to them like kids, but you let them know what's going on. The more honest you are, the better you are. And the more you'll achieve as a rep. Because if you're out here promising people the world or just turning a blind eye to things, that's when everything goes wrong and you will not last in your position. And just being straight up.
Well, that kind of weakens our position too. If we're constantly letting guys get away with stuff, at some point the company's going to catch on, and then it's going to be more difficult for us to hold the company accountable too, won't it? I mean, those two things kind of go hand in hand.
It does. It does.
Let me ask you. So we talked about stewards quite a bit. I'm also curious about one step higher. Tell me about the bargaining committee. What is their role?
They basically work hand in hand with the chairman. The chairman of the plant, that's going to be your highest level chief steward or whatever the case may be. That's the person who is pretty much handing everything down on a paper level. But in a structure, you will have everyone together. You know what I mean? So your bargaining committee hears grievances, bargaining the contract, obviously, and doing other, meetings and all types of other things to make it better for our membership. It's not just bargaining. It's a lot more to that. This is going to be our first contract. Let's be real. We're going to have a lot of grievances. I mean, we probably got people right now just waiting to file them. I mean, and I don't blame them, honestly.
Right, yeah.
I don't. I really don't, because of all the BS that's going down. I mean, you've got good people down there on management side. You do. It's like anything in life. But you have those ones that just make it difficult for everyone else. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot initially. And it's a bargaining committee, stewards, all the reps, even the appointed reps are going to be busy as hell.
A couple of things. I like that you pointed out that there are people on the management side that are good folk. I think our listeners, and I think you and I would probably agree, that by and large, most of the people that we work with, supervisors and all of those types, are generally speaking, they're good folk. They're just trying to do their job. And oftentimes they're put in a position that they don't want to be in anyway. Also, the thing about this is our first contract, we're not going to get everything right? And so that's kind of my understanding is part of the bargaining committee's job is bargaining a new contract when the time comes due. But won't they also be analyzing how well our current contract is working so that when that time comes, they're armed with the right information?
Yes.
So they can make incremental positive change? That's part of what they do. So they're going to be busy all the time.
100% busy all the time.
Okay. And then the chairman, you talked a little bit about the chairman. So, as a union, we are a collective. But even in a collective, somebody's got to be responsible. Somebody's got to have oversight. Is that the chairman's job? Essentially, he's the one in charge.
Yes.
For the labor side.
For the labor side, yes.
So he's going to be in charge of not just the committeemen and the stewards. Is he also going to be in charge of the other representatives? Is he kind of oversight for them as well, like the safety and the air going, all that stuff?
Anything union, yeah, they're in charge. And then in my experiences, I went to all the production meetings. I went to all anything that had to do with production, discipline, whatever the case may be, with management. I was in those meetings as well. So management and HR, even though HR constantly got their back, like when it comes to situations with employees, like HR and management constantly clash for all types of stuff. So as a chairman and most likely bargaining committee, you're going to have to deal with a lot of this crap because you're going to get it from all sides. You know what I mean? And then it's you're the last line of defense pretty much before it goes into the region,
right? Before
it goes into arbitration and all that stuff. So you're going to be getting a lot of flack, especially, those positions and, stewards too, because, a lot of times if these grievances escalate to levels, the steward who wrote the grievance might be called upon to have to be involved in these meetings as well. So it's layers, and it's
a lot going on.
Yeah, it's structured very well. I can't even complain about the structure that's going to be in place because it's going to be a lot, and it's going to be there for the benefit of everyone. You know what I mean? It's going to be, from whatever shop you're in, you're going to be good. Like, let's say your steward's not there, you're going to have alternates that are in place. Alternates so they work on the line for the most part, but whenever that steward committee person, you'll have alternates for health and safety just in case and all that good stuff. So you'll always have representation in place, so that alternate will come off the line and represent just like a steward would.
So a lot of times we got no production. I think this is an important point to make. If there's 5 people in the shop, will there be representatives there? Or is there a situation where you're like, well, we only got 20 guys here. We don't need stewards today.
If there's one person in the shop, you'll have representation there.
Beautiful. Okay. Hey, if I win a grievance, if I file a grievance, what happens? Like, does somebody come out of nowhere and slap the CEO's hand and say, stop it? What's the outcome of grievances?
Well, I mean, it depends. So you get a point, right? You get a point, you win a grievance, or you get a coaching. Basically, you get paperwork saying it's going away. We can't control what management does. They got their own hiring policies. They got their own everything. So in my experiences in the past, if a supervisor had too many grievances on them, a company moved them to a different area or a company moved them to a different location, stuff like that. But we don't control what they do. We only control what happens to our membership.
Let me ask you this then. All right. Use me as an example here. So often lately, we have been given the opportunity to do an early startup, come in at 2, go to MQB and work over there for a while, and then come over. Now, they asked me several times, and because I'm lazy, I tell them, no, I don't want that overtime. But let's say after the contract, my boss gets complacent in the fact that I'm always telling him no and stops asking me. And something come up, and it just so happened that, hey, this time I want overtime. Boss, why didn't you ask me? Well, you always tell me no, so I didn't ask you. And I file a grievance over that. What happens then?
It depends who came in. So let's say somebody with lower seniority than you comes in, and you file that grievance because he skipped you. So now the way it's supposed to work, seniority down. Mm-hmm. So high seniority gets first dibs all the way down. A lot of times.
But everybody gets a turn?
They should, yes.
Okay.
Though they should keep a list of who goes at what time, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you need 3 people Monday. Mm-hmm. So the 3 highest go, and then Tuesday, the 3, under them go. So if, let's say a person, it's 4 hours, right? Mm-hmm. It'll be 4 hours. Mm-hmm. So the person that they asked before you goes, gets to overtime. You file your grievance. You're going to win it, 100%. You'll get paid those 4 hours as well because you got skipped.
I get paid for not working overtime?
You get paid your overtime because you got skipped. So you'll get 4 hours because he skipped your turn in a rotation.
Okay. I'm getting the impression that it's better just to talk to your steward. No matter what, talk to your steward. He's going to be the expert, as opposed to getting in a pissing match with your boss and end up getting sent to HR or something.
But it'll work the same way. Like if, let's say, you bid on a job, right? And you're perfect standing, right? You're good. You don't got 1,000 write-ups. You're not worried about it, even though it shouldn't matter. Somebody with lower seniority gets the job you bid for, being that you were passed over, that has to be reversed immediately because you have high seniority.
I got seniority. So we're gonna actually respect seniority from here on out.
We have to respect seniority.
Okay. We're kind of running along on time here. Is there anything that you wanted to add that I haven't asked yet?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like I'm just gonna harp on the fact of what you said, that it's always good to call your steward. I mean,
it's your right.
It's your right. It's their duty to be available for you. You know what I mean? They're in reality, what elected officials are doing, they're working for the membership.
Right.
Like I said, and it's not that hard. There's going to be situations where you can handle it yourself. I mean, I get that. If your steward is there, he'll be able to argue your point better than you can, because your steward can get away with a little bit more than you, knowing that this person knows the contract. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, I don't know how it's going to work here because it's the first one, but a lot of times management tends to back off because, oh, fuck, this guy knows what he's talking about. I can't do anymore, so we'll just leave it be. And a lot of times, like I said, a conversation with a steward will take care of a lot. As an elected official, you're going to develop a rapport with management. Mm-hmm. You're going to know when to talk to them and when to beat them in their ass, because there's going to come times where you're going to have to. It's just it's
right.
just a fact.
Yeah.
So,
But
you
that-
know,
but
you
again,
do,
that's
you
the
establish
steward's
that relationship.
Right.
You establish that relationship, and a lot of times, not saying all the time, but a lot of times, that will be resolved right then and there. And you know, all you do as a steward is let the person know you're good, you're taken care of. Don't worry about it.
Good.
And that's it.
So UAW is now the bargaining representative for all of Volkswagen.
All of it.
You are every single person's representative. If you're a steward, you represent every worker in the shop, whether they're card carrying or not. Is
Your
that-
whole district, yes.
Okay.
You represent all of them.
Even if they've got ugly shoes.
Even if you got broken shoelaces or you got whatever the case may be.
Even if they're Tennessee fans, we can represent them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but yeah.
All right. Well, Angel, I really appreciate you talking to me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it and love the radio voice.
Hey, yeah. Thanks a lot. It's the only thing I got going for me. I'm ugly. That's it for that conversation. I thought it was pretty good. Tony, what did you think?
I agree with you. It was very informative. Angel really knows, a lot about that. He's had experience with that. It gives a better understanding of what this means for our plant, for our membership, for our bargaining unit. So it's a lot of good stuff. There's lots more to talk about. This is a really good beginning.
Yeah, I was going to say, we could probably have 3 shows just on representation. As it's been so kindly brought to our attention, our union rep touches every aspect of our lives. Like, it's that important to what we have here as a union. So,
Yep. Hey, what do we got next week?
next week we're going to talk health and safety. That's a big one. There is so much in health and safety. It was a long conversation, and I don't envy you having to put that episode together. But it should be a good one.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, I guess on that note, this is thanks for listening. This is Fireside 42. We're out.